just be sorry. Think for one fucking second.
I dropped a peanut M&M and it rolled over here.
Am I gonna walk around and rip your fucking lights down in the middle of a scene?
Those are Christmas lights. I put them up to make everyone happy.
Then why the fuck are you walking right through? Da-da-da-da, like this in the background. What the fuck is it with you?
Boy, you were gonna owe a fortune to the swear jar.
You got any fucking idea about, hey, it's fucking distracting having somebody walking up behind Bryce in the middle of the fucking scene? Give me a fucking answer.
I don't get it.
What don't you get about it?
I don't get why we need another Terminator. I don't get it. Oh, and by the way, sorry, I ate that last piece of pie that you were saving for yourself.
Oh, good for you. And how was it?
It was good.
I hope it was fucking good because it's useless now, isn't it?
Well, it's nourishing me, so that's useful.
Fuck's sake, man, you're amateur.
I don't know that word.
Stay off the fucking set, man. Right, let's go again.
Can we just take a minute?
Let's not take a fucking minute. Let's go again.
I gotta go pee, and I want to walk around some more, but I want to do it while the scene's going.
You're unbelievable, man.
Yeah, I just don't understand.
You don't fucking understand what it's like working with actors. That's what that is.
I don't think that's what that is.
That's what that is, man. I'm telling you.
Hey, my family's coming to town. Do you mind pretending that I'm the director?
I want to fucking kick your fucking ass. You don't shut up for a second,
Please don't hurt me, Mr. Bale.
I'm gonna go. You want me to go fucking trash your lights?
No.
Do you want me to fucking trash them?
No, I don't want you to trash them.
You do it one more fucking time, and I ain't walking on this set if you're still hired.
Sorry, it's my first day.
I'm fucking serious. You're a nice guy. You're a nice guy.
I don't feel like a nice guy.
But I don't fucking cut it when you're bullshitting and fucking around like this on set.
Jeez, you punch your mother with that mouth?
Seriously, man, you and me, we're fucking done professionally.
Wait, just professionally? Are you asking me out on a date?
Oh, my God. Am I the only one that thinks that that's the fun, some of the funniest stuff ever? Like
no,
ever?
It is funny.
I loved it.
Pure gold. I love it. One of my few moments I love about Seth MacFarlane. Love it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, when he's on, when he comes up with, when he's on, and there he was on. Oh my gosh. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the 152nd show of Thunder Pop. It's also the season finale of season 6. And I'm so thrilled to have these two people joining me for this very special show, very special episode. I've got Julien Owens there by the popcorn, ladies and gentlemen. And I have some applause for you. I'll pull those up here in a little bit. As soon as I get to my proper soundboard, I'll give you some applause. And also Paige and Bockhorn. Drake is behind you.
Yeah.
Drake the cat is also making a special appearance. I'm so thrilled to have Drake the cat. There you go. So we have this special episode is a Johnny Lightfoot retrospective. We're going to look back on the movie fandom moments that we've enjoyed with Johnny as a podcaster and as a fellow movie fan. Johnny did many podcasts with me since 2015, and he's done many podcasts with Julien. When did y'all start Matinee Talk, Julien?
We started Matinee Talk, oh God, it's since August of 2018. We both did it after, which is ironically enough, after you kind of talked him into doing his own show, and I was kind of nervous on my feet about trying to do one because, you know, both of us were in movie fandom. And eventually, I don't know, after one day we said, let's just do it. And yeah, we've been podcast co-hosts for the podcast since late August of 2018.
Yeah, so you'd been going for a while with that. You've done like what? How many episodes did y'all do?
We did 56, 57, close around that number. About that many in 3 years.
Yeah, and I lost count how many I did with Johnny over since 2015, but I think it's quite possible that Johnny, as a podcaster, could have been pushing 200 episodes on in his life as a podcaster.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, so he was a professional for sure. Paige had told me the story before we started recording about that beautiful cat that's sitting behind you on the couch there, and how the name for that cat came to be Drake. So I might have to have you reset that story during the show. And Paige is going to come on as soon as we have the intro Paige is going to come on and talk about Johnny, and she's got some great stories about Johnny. And then Julien later, and myself, and we're going to play some clips, some photos. This is about Johnny's life as a fandom, his fandom, and his love of movies and television, and kind of the happy memories is what we really are trying to focus on tonight. So okay, let's do it. Let's get the intro going, and then we'll get right into it.
It's time for Fandom Pop. Don't make me say it again. Fandom Pop, Fandom Pop, Fandom Pop. I will not say it again. Fandom Pop. Okay, I lied. Fandom Pop, Fandom Pop, Fandom Pop, oh, Fandom Pop.
Coming up on Thunder Pop.
And there's Johnny there, me and him, as we were to start one of the shows back in, that one was a while ago. That could have even been one of the first shows me and him did together. And the thing, Johnny had some of the best hair. I envy.
Yes.
I wear a cap for a reason.
He took pride in that hair.
Oh, he should have. I mean, yes, he had great hair. And so whenever I took pictures with Johnny, I always made sure to have a cap on, because there was absolutely no way I was going to side by side with that hair and my hair trying to be seen without my cap on. No, he took pride in it, you said?
Yeah, I mean, his goal was to get the Jon Snow hair, and he achieved it. Because he wanted to pull his hair back.
Yes.
And a little ponytail, and he achieved it. And he was so proud of it. He loved it.
I saw some like Facebook photos later on with that hair. It looked great. Yeah, he had some different versions of that hair over the time I knew him. Because I met Johnny way before the podcast. I met him in 2012. And we talked about that on the phone yesterday when I was working with him in 2012. And then we did lose contact with each other for a few years. And but yeah, he always had great hair, always different versions of his hair. So Paige Bockhorn, thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And it's great to have you here. We had great conversations about Johnny yesterday on the phone.
So I guess where to begin? So Johnny and we met on a dating app, and there are, from a woman's perspective, there are a lot of men on dating apps who claim to be musicians or in the film industry, which came across as so pretentious to me. I'm so pretentious. But, he kept his profile short and sweet, saying that he loved movies and music, and he just kept it at that. I didn't realize how much into movies he was. So knowing that he was into all of these movies, I was a little intimidated, because I was worried, like, oh, what if he tries to one-up me or something? And he never did that. One of our first dates, we went to this art gallery, and the art gallery featured Star Wars. And I think the first season of Mandalorian had just ended, and I hadn't watched any of that. So he invited me, and I told him, I was very upfront and honest with him. I was like, hey, I don't know anything about Star Wars. And if you want to find somebody else who can appreciate Star Wars more than me, I totally understand that. And he goes, well, are you saying you don't want to go? And I said, no, I would love to go, but I want you to understand that I'm not going to get all of the references. And he was like, no, that's fine. I want to spend time with you. So we went, we had a blast. He bought this poster. I had no idea who this guy was. Ended up, it was the main character, the Mandalorian, but I had no idea. So continue talking about Star Wars. That was his two favorite franchises, movies, were Batman and Star Wars. And he did get me into Batman. And
Yeah.
however, we had never watched the Star Wars movies together. And I think to some people that was surprising.
Mhm.
I loved that. He never forced it on me. We never watched those movies together because he was like, okay, well, she's not into Star Wars, that's fine. He never pushed it on me. He was never one of those pretentious movie buffs. He was like, oh, you've never seen this movie? You call yourself a movie fan? He was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
He did get me into watching Mandalorian. He had already watched season 1, and I think season 2 was just coming out. So he had rewatched season 1 of Mandalorian with me. And he was so careful not to get any season 2 spoilers. And it was a pretty big deal for him because where he worked, that's what everybody was talking about was the season 2 of Mandalorian. And Julien, I don't know if that ever affected your podcast, Matinee Talk. Like, was that ever a thing? Like, you're like, hey, man, let's talk about season 2 of Mandalorian. And he's like, no, Paige hasn't watched it yet. I don't know if that was a thing or not.
I will put it this way. It was an idea that I brought around him because just to say we both were huge Star Wars fans. I was like, please, I want to talk about it. But for you, he was like, I'm sorry. I would love to, but we can't talk about it right now. We're going to have to wait because Paige and I are watching it together. So I was like, I respect it. I'm just going to have to wait to talk about it. But yeah, only once.
Oh, okay. No, because I figured it was something like that. And that meant so much to me because he didn't have to wait for me. He could have already watched it the first time and then, just watch it again with me. But he wanted to save those moments with me, which it meant so much to me.
Just glad he didn't have a Mandalorian podcast called the Fandalorium.
The Mandalorian.
He would have had him and Julien would have had no choice. He would have had to.
We'd have been like, I'm so sorry, Paige, but we're gonna have to
yeah, if you had sprung that idea on him, he would have done it. He would have found a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
So can I talk about the finale episode of season 2?
Yeah, at this point, if you haven't watched it, you don't care. But
Okay.
spoiler alert for Mandalorian season 2. There you go. That's all they get.
All right, thanks, Presley. Okay, so that final scene where this famous Jedi comes to save Grogu, and it was revealed to be Luke.
Yep.
And Johnny just started like jumping up and down in his seat, and he was just shaking, and we were holding hands, and he was squeezing my hand so tight, and he had this huge smile on his face, and his eyes were so big, and I know who Luke Skywalker is just from 36 years of existence on this planet. Right. I didn't know who Luke Skywalker is the same way that Johnny knows. And then there is another final scene where Grogu says goodbye to the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
He walks off with Luke, and we're both crying. It as someone who had never watched any of the Star Wars movies, that really impacted me. And it was later on, I don't know, was it a day later, a week later, a month later? I don't know. But we were talking to some people, and Johnny had made a comment like, yeah, I came really close to tears at the end. Mm-hmm. And I said, bullshit, you were crying. You weren't close to tears. You were in tears. like don't try to fool your friends. Come on now. But that was so sweet of him.
You called him out.
I did. So I have another sweet memory of him. And I think this may have been one of the first times we really talked on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So he had just texted me, like, hey, what's up? What are you doing? And I was really embarrassed to tell him that I was watching some like trash Netflix drama show. Because again, like I didn't know if he was really like a pretentious movie dude or not. So I told him, I was like, hey, I'm watching this show on Netflix called You. And
which I've never seen. I think that might be something my wife is watching.
All right.
What you
All right, I gotta step in really quick.
Yeah.
Firstly, I have to say, I'm not gonna lie. I'm very pretentious when it comes to TV shows. Like, I really am. I'm not gonna even sit here and pretend like I'm not. However, oh my God, I enjoy it. To say came from Lifetime and now Netflix has pumped its money into it, I thoroughly enjoy it. I can't wait for season 3. I recommend it.
Great trash TV.
And this is coming from a movie critic.
Yes, it is definitely coming from a movie critic who will eat any movie that does this. I love you. I really love Netflix.
I was so embarrassed to tell him that because I watch it. I am well aware that it's trash TV, but it has me sucked in. And his response to that was, oh, I love that show. It's a fun show to watch. Ooh. So I decided to binge watch a few episodes, and in between every episode, I called him so we can discuss it because it's one of those shows that ends with a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Well, Julien, all right. I'm glad that this is a trash TV show that you approve of. It's fun though. It's a fun show.
You got the stamp of approval now from both Julien and Johnny on that show, so you're good now.
You're good. You're good at this point. Like,
yeah. Yes. So let's see another memory. The new Marvel shows that came out. He was more of a DC fan. I'm more of a Marvel fan, and he did get me into watching some DC shows, and he had rewatched some Marvel movies with me to prepare for WandaVision, Falcon, Winter Soldier. But let me tell you, it was very hard for me to watch Loki.
Yeah.
He wanted to watch it. He was really looking forward to Loki coming out.
Yeah.
And I had to try my hardest to avoid spoilers. Like I don't think I started watching it until, I don't know, maybe like a month ago or something like that. My timeline, I don't know if something happened a week ago or a month ago. But yeah, that show was very difficult to watch because I know that he was looking forward to it.
Yeah. And he was enjoying the Marvel shows like the Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision before that. Y'all were watching those together.
Yeah, we were. So, Johnny, he had basically every streaming channel. He had a subscription to all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he knew that my favorite Marvel Avenger has always been Black Widow. And yeah. So she finally had her movie come out.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he passed away. But he told me that he really wanted to take me out on a date to Alamo Drafthouse and see and watch Black Widow. Because he was very, very cautious during the pandemic. He didn't like to go out much. Just very cautious because of that, of the pandemic.
Because y'all would go, you and Johnny would go to movies almost every week, right? At the Alamo for a long time.
For me, yes. Which was so annoying. I'm not gonna lie to you. every Thursday when I was working at Best Buy with Johnny, which is how we met, we would go almost at least once a week to a movie. And then when I left Best Buy, I kind of had to dabble in my own thing because unfortunately I couldn't work and my schedule couldn't let me come on Thursdays to watch it. But yeah, absolutely. Like, there's so many movie premieres, and there's an interesting story which we'll get to later about Endgame. And Johnny, what he would do is buy a couple of us tickets to go watch a premiere movie, and we did Endgame. And like, I have so many memories about certain movies. My favorite one is Endgame, but we'll get to that later. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's funny. Sorry.
Yeah. So, Julian, you were there. Johnny's mother, Susan, she rented out a theater and at the Alamo Drafthouse and had them play Black Widow for us, and it was amazing. It was just such a sweet tribute that Susan did for Johnny, and that she chose Black Widow to play. That was really special, and we were so thankful for her, for Alamo Drafthouse. He loved that theater. He didn't want to go anywhere else but to Alamo Drafthouse.
He loved the Alamo Drafthouse, and he knew it from inside out.
Right, he did. And when we would go to shows at the Alamo Drafthouse, he knew exactly which seat to pick up. Like, he had been to every theater in the different locations. Yeah. And he knew which seats were the prime spots to sit, for the audio. And I don't have that kind of ear for acoustics, but I mean, that's what he did for a living.
Yeah, that's what he did. He knew it really well.
Yeah. So with as much as he attended Alamo Drafthouse, he had never been to a Weird Wednesday or Terror Tuesday. Yeah. And I used to go to those all the time before the pandemic. I was more partial to the Terror Tuesdays and the Weird Wednesdays. But I had a couple tickets, and I asked a girlfriend of mine if she wanted to go, and she was like, no. She's like, I'm going to bed early that night. Why don't you bring my husband? He loves those movies. And I'm like, before I ask him, I'm going to ask this new guy that I'm dating if he wants to go with me. And if you guys know anything about Terror Tuesday or Weird Wednesdays, oftentimes they'll pick movies, very obscure movies.
Yes.
For me, that I've never heard of. And I asked Johnny, like, hey, I have an extra ticket to go to this Terror Tuesday. Do you want to go with me? And he goes, well, what movie is it? I said, honestly, I don't even know. I just buy the tickets and whatever they play, they play. And so I looked it up and I said, oh, they're playing some movie called Dial Code Santa Claus. And he goes, oh, I've always wanted to see that movie. Which just blew my mind. Like, who's heard of this movie before? So, yeah, that was a great memory.
Johnny was a walk-in movie library.
Yeah. What's up, Julian?
Yes. No, it's so crazy to me you say that, Presley, because like it's very interesting that one of my first moments of Johnny, but one of my really fonder moments of Johnny is when he was at his apartment complex over North Austin, right by the McDonald's that's right by Pinballs. And I went there for the first time, and we're basically about to start recording a podcast. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, all right, cool. Let me just come up here, knock on his door. Johnny lets me in and we're about to set up. And I look to my right and I'm sitting there like, wow. And if everybody knew, like, Johnny had a whole, I wouldn't even call it just a bookshelf case. No, it wasn't even a bookshelf case. It looked like it was a larger, big bookshelf case of nothing but movies. And to your point, I'm sitting there and I'm looking, I'm like, oh, wow, these are a lot of movies I've seen. Oh, wait, nope. I stopped lying. Look at the second shelf. I'm like, I don't understand. I don't know any of these movies. And he's the one who got me to go and to look at more obscure movies. And he's kind of the reason why I got the season pass with Alamo and basically started going to the Alamo Drafthouse more often. Because I'm like, I've never heard of half of these movies you got on your bookshelf. Let me go find out what these are. So yeah, like definitely Johnny was a walking encyclopedia, which again, another story later, but yeah, it's very interesting you say that. And I'm like, yes, he definitely was.
There's a lot of old classics that I had never seen, or maybe I haven't seen them since I was a kid, like take Matrix, for example. I'm like, oh, hey, Johnny, like, do you want to see if Matrix is streaming anywhere? Oh, I own it. Hey, I've only seen the first Jason Bourne movie. Maybe we can find the second one. He's like, oh, I own all of them. Just with any movie, he owned all of them. And Julian, I know what bookcase you're talking about because he had it in his most recent apartment.
Yes.
It could have been basically a wall, like a built-in bookshelf with all of his DVDs. And he loved them, and he would even buy movies, DVDs that he wasn't even a big fan of. All he had to do was kind of sort of like it, and he would buy it. And I think that's beautiful. Like that's how he wanted to spend his money, with his beautiful movie collection.
If they keep cranking up subscription cost for these streaming apps, having hard media might be the way to go.
You hit it right on the nail. At this point, I had a movie collection, then I kind of stopped. I was like, nah. But if streaming becomes the way to go at some point, you're right. I think I'm just gonna go digital. I mean, physical, and I'm just never gonna look back. Never.
Well, I mean, right now there's a threat of an editor. This is a little off subject, but a video edit, like the editors are threatening to go on strike for the first time since World War II. That's a big deal, and it's because of the streaming, because they're having issues with not being paid and properly compensated for content that they're working on that's going to streaming. And so if they will eventually get their raise, and where's that raise going to come from? Subscriptions are going to go up.
I was going to say, we did a streaming one about Warner Brothers and the big deal that they did last year, stating that all of their big releases that came out this year are going to be on HBO Max at the same time. It was very interesting. It was a very well thought out conversation. I'm not going to lie. I still feel the same way I do about that. I do agree with Presley. Like the streaming wars, I call them, because I unfortunately feel like this is completely a streaming war at this point. Yeah. It's gonna get to a point where everybody's gonna try to compete and say who's better than who, and unfortunately we're gonna be the tail end of that, and we're gonna have to figure out who's gonna be what. And to their point, I feel like we're gonna get to a point with Warner Brothers, like with if HBO Max still do their same model next year, I'm gonna feel some type of way, because I'm gonna feel like, all right, I can spend $15, $10 on HBO Max, depending on how you do your subscription, to just watch a movie with them. But I would be darned if I'm spending $6 with Disney and an extra $30 to watch a movie the same day it comes out on theaters. You can miss me with that.
Yeah, I don't get that. And Johnny and I, we had talked about that so many times. It makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
I mean, you might as well just wait a couple months before you don't have to pay that extra amount to rent the movie.
Speaking of Disney and Disney content, one of the last times, and I told Paige the story, one of the last times that Johnny was at my house, or a lot of the last memories I have of when me and Johnny were in person, because we did the show. We started doing the show remotely after COVID, and we also introduced the video part of this show. So we were, the last multiple times I saw Johnny was remotely, like I'm seeing the two of you today in the virtual Thunderpop Dome. But the last time I saw, one of the last times I remember, my last memories of Johnny when I saw him and he was at my house was he had just come back from Galaxy's Edge. And he made, he made that, he was out in California for a work trip, and he figured out a way to, he had a day of a little free time, and leave it to Johnny to figure it out. And he made it to Galaxy's Edge. And he's the only person I know right now that I knew of so far that's been to Galaxy's Edge. Because of the pandemic, a lot of my friends that were talking about going put on the brakes, but he got to go right before, chaos, and made it out there to go. And there's actually, here's his picture in the studio, in the at my house.
Yes.
And
Wow.
he had this custom. He did the custom build lightsaber. I guess a workshop, and
Mhm.
it actually I should have had him close my closet door while he was demonstrating. He was demoing the lightsaber. I said, "Hey, could you close my door while you're at it?" But anyway, yeah, he had that beautiful lightsaber. He came over to the house, and I asked him, I said, "Can I see it?" And he has a beautiful like case it was in, and I mean, everything about it was top notch. I mean, from the sounds to the case that it was stored in.
You definitely
He had a few what we call the VFX lightsabers. They're collectibles that you can buy online. You can buy them for about $100 so odd dollars, but those didn't compare to any of those didn't compare to anything he did for Galaxy's Edge. And Presley, wow, you picked the exact same story. One of my stories I was going to use is because on one day when he told me that he was on his work job, I said, okay, since you went to Galaxy's Edge and I wanted to go, like as Presley said, as soon as the pandemic slows down, I'm at California going to go to Galaxy's Edge to do the exact same thing. Like that's how serious of a Star Wars fan I am too, because I wanted to build my own lightsaber. And for him to buy a ticket, spend the $200 to go in, he said he took about an hour because they go through this whole class to teach you how to build the lightsaber. You pick your kyber crystal, which is the crystal you put in your lightsaber, and you basically go through there and they help you assemble it, pick the materials you did. And at the end of it, what she showed me a photo was all of them coming together and they light their lightsabers up together as unison, saying they all build their lightsabers. And to Presley's point, I wish I had the audio for that. But yeah, Johnny goes and turns it on, and literally you just see my inner child just go, "Oh my God, it is what I wanted. It's always what I've wanted."
Yeah.
Because, like I mentioned, those VFX lightsabers, don't get me wrong, they're cool. They're really nice. They feel very authentic and they really have some weight to them. But to have your own custom lightsaber, that's a whole nother level. Sorry, whole nother level. Those didn't compare to that Galaxy's Edge lightsaber he built.
Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, to someone like me, I don't have the eye for that. So to me, they all kind of look the same. I'm sorry to say that. There was something else that I noted when I had a girlfriend of mine come over and help me, organize Johnny's collectibles. And she found his Death Star. And she goes, "Oh my God, Paige, look at this!" And she starts playing with it, and mind you, she's like the same age as me. She's in her 30s, and I don't really get it. And I'm like, well, okay, that's cool. And she goes, "No, Paige, you don't get it. You know how all little girls want a Barbie dream house?
Yeah.
This is the Barbie dream house for boys. Star Wars." She's like, "You don't get it. This is a big deal."
You can see me both me and Julien are like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, she described it as the Barbie dream house, but for traditionally boys. So, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. When she put it in that perspective, I got it. I mean, and just to see her being so excited playing with it, that I never realized that. And now I wish that I had asked Johnny more questions. Again, this is him not pushing his hobbies and stuff on me, which I thought was very respectful. He didn't try to.
There it is. Wow.
It just sounds
There
so
it is.
beautiful.
From Galaxy's Edge. Custom build.
Still looks beautiful.
I remember seeing that box.
The case.
The case for the lightsaber, yeah.
The case was awesome. I mean, it wasn't just everything from the case to the actual handle and the construction and the details.
You're right. And for me, I'm like, all right, should I spend $200 on a lightsaber? I mean, if it's going to be like the ones with VFX, I should just go buy a VFX one. No. The weight to that box, the weight to the saber, and the way it just feels, I said, no. Disney's know what they're doing, at least with the theme parks.
Yes.
Giving me a lightsaber.
Yeah.
That's worth the $200 of admission. You're right.
Lightsaber workshop. Yeah, they have it going on. Did he went and had some? Did he have blue milk? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I thought
he did
so.
have blue milk.
Yeah, he's my hero.
I have no idea what blue milk is.
I know.
What are you guys speaking?
I know. It's a reference to one of the original trilogy Star Wars movies, and it's a thing that I feel like I believe you agree with me, personally. Like that's something we always wanted, just saying, hey, I want to taste that. I want to see what that tastes like.
Yeah,
and they have it at Disney, and I'm like, all right, one day, Julien, when the pandemic slows down, we will go.
Yeah. Because when you go, you want to be able. For me, I speak for myself, but I think for you as well. When you go, it'd be nice to be able to fully be able to enjoy the experience and not be worried about stand behind this rope or this tape and mask up for this portion of the trip and distance for this part of the trip. So yeah, it'll be nice to just go and let's just be Jedis for a day.
Yes, I completely agree. I feel like I'd have to pull out a whole day just to be in Galaxy's Edge. Like I feel like I have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when I had gone through Johnny's stuff and his mother, told me, she was like, take whatever you want. I am surprised by how much of the Star Wars stuff that I took, because even though it had zero meaning to me, I knew it had meaning to him.
Yeah.
Even like a few of his shirts, his T-shirts. I was debating whether or not to wear one of his shirts for this, but I decided not to. I don't know. I'm wearing, this is, you guys can't see it.
Oh,
it's, it has his ashes in it. And
okay.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. Wow.
So
that's unbelievable.
Yeah. So I wear that little necklace he got me, and then our ring, my ring, he got me. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but on the bottom is it looks gold, a rose from Beauty and the Beast.
Oh yeah, that's right. That is right.
I didn't even know he was really into Disney princesses. Like
he loved Disney. He loved Disney theme park even before the Galaxy's Edge opened. He was a big Disney theme park fan.
Well, I guess I shouldn't say Disney princesses, but just the classic Disney movies.
Yeah, he was really into
He was into it. And we even had arguments when Disney bought out Fox, which that's a whole nother conversation at a different time. We argued about who was validated to be a princess that Fox had that they wanted to merge into. We like literally Johnny was into Disney Renaissance in a sense, because we both agree that was the pinnacle of Disney movies in general.
Well, and again, I guess I'm gonna comment on his looks. He told me that I reminded him of Belle, and I said, "Oh, well, that must make you the Beast." Well, you have the hair for it. Your hair ain't enough to be the Beast, so okay. I didn't know what the rose symbolized until he told me. I'm not sure if I can exactly remember all of it, but it's how, the rose was losing its petals and the beast had to find love to break.
Before he turned 21, right?
Yeah, like you had to break the spell or something like that. And I didn't know that. Or maybe I did, I just forgot. I don't know. But yeah, he loved Disney.
He loved Disney, yeah.
So Johnny was very supportive of my running. I'm a marathon runner. He was very supportive of that. He wasn't that much into running, like I think for him a long run was like 5 miles, which is still awesome. But he wasn't, he had no desire to run the races like how I do. Like I have the marathon bug, I do. and Johnny didn't. But he did say that he would want to do one of the Disney like half marathons.
There was a Star Wars race too a while back.
Yeah, there was a Star Wars. There's actually a Disney Princess half marathon.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So those were some that he would have definitely. Could you get a shirt? You get some swag and
those finishers medals are so cool.
Yeah.
And I know in January there's in Walt Disney World there's like the whole challenge where one day it's a 5K, and another day, like maybe Friday it's a 5K, Saturday it's a half marathon, and Sunday it's a full marathon. So you do the Disney Challenge, and each race has its own amazing looking finisher's medal. So I like the finisher's medals, but yeah, I think he wanted to do the Star Wars race or the Disney Princess race with me. So I'll do them one of those days to honor him. That would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be
And,
great because it combines something both that you love and are passionate about, and that he loved, and that you both love.
So I have a marathon coming up the first weekend of October. I am doing the Twin Cities full marathon in Minnesota.
Minnesota. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Johnny loves Minneapolis. So the race, it's a point to point. It starts in Minneapolis and ends in St. Paul. But Johnny's company, I think it's their headquarters, is based in Minneapolis, and he even spent a few weeks there doing training.
Yeah.
And he fell in love with that city, so he wanted to go with me to support me doing the marathon.
I've always been obsessed with Minnesota or Minneapolis. I thought there was a lot of things about Minneapolis that intrigued me. So me and him shared that interest in Minneapolis, and he beat me to it because he started that job and then went up there for training and then went up there maybe for another work trip. I finally got to go though, not too long after, because of my work at the time sent me up there to do some work. And so since he had a head start, he was able to give me all these tips, like things to do and places to go. And of course the burgers with the stuffed cheese, and they stuff hot, like it's cheese inside the burger. And you bite. It's a big thing in Minneapolis that I forget what they call it now. There's a name, the Juicy Lucy. And there's competing places that call themselves the original. And I believe somewhere on one of my shows, Johnny's actually talks about the Juicy Lucy, or it could have been something that we talked about before a show one day when he had come back from there. So that was one of the first things I did was I found me a Juicy Lucy, which is a burger with cheese. And I know you're a vegan, Paige, so you'll have to.
Okay, go on.
You can find out. I'm sure by now someone does a vegan version of this somewhere. But anyway, it was quite good, and I was only there for a few days, but I did enjoy my trip there, and we mutually both loved that city.
Yeah, so in Minneapolis, it's pretty famous within the vegan community called the Herbivorous Butcher. And this past Easter, Johnny had bought a vegan roast. They did like a little plate. I don't remember what else was in there. Different types of cheeses and vegan meats, and pasta and all of that. It was like a big bundle. And he had ordered that, which I thought was so nice. Like, look at this big meat eater, ordering this vegan meal, from Minnesota. And he loved it so much. And he said to me, he goes, "You know what, Paige? I think we should have the Herbivorous Butcher cater our wedding."
Oh, nice.
That just blew my mind. Because I plan on going to Herbivorous Butcher. That meant a lot to me that he said that on our first date. I don't know how we got on the topic, but what's your favorite food? And he said steak and seafood, and he was like, "Oh, what's your favorite food?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm vegan." And for this man who was basically a carnivore to learn how to do all of this vegan cooking for me and really go out of his way and study and learn about veganism, it meant the world to me. Like, who does that? I don't have those amazing meals anymore. He made the most amazing meals for me. And
he loved cooking, didn't he?
He loved cooking. Absolutely loved it. And he didn't know anything about veganism when we first dated. He didn't know anything.
Mhm.
And he learned how to read labels, and he learned how to cook. Some of the vegan alternatives, like vegan cheese and vegan meats, they cook a lot differently than the original meat version of it. And it meant so much to me. We looked forward to that every Saturday night. We would make dinner and watch a movie, and then Sunday morning we'd go on a walk, and then he would usually make like vegan pancakes or waffles. It was beautiful. It was really beautiful.
It shows you just what a great guy. Because I have meeting friends that wouldn't have been as kind or nice
That's
about it.
forthcoming. No.
Yeah, exactly. Like most of them are like this. when you bring out vegan cheese. So Johnny was a swell guy to really, and no, a lot of vegan. I love a lot of vegetarian food myself. So it's I can cross over from time to time, but I also love me some brisket.
when
Sorry if I do.
No, that's okay. When his father passed away, we went out and bought a vegan charcuterie board at this local vegan deli, because one of Johnny's favorite meals that he would have with his father was a charcuterie board. So I was like, well, I will indulge you with that, but it has to be vegan, of course. And yeah, we found this amazing vegan charcuterie board at a deli here in Austin.
That's cool. Yeah, and Austin's a really good community for vegans. So there's a lot of options for places to go eat.
And he was open to try them with me. I love that. There is this vegan burger food trailer that he really loved. One of our second, I think it was our second date. Oh yeah, that's right. Because we went to the movies. We saw, is it Queen and Slim or Slim? And
Queen and Slim.
Yeah. That's the first movie we ever saw together.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Why?
That's a very interesting movie to like go on a first date on. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm intrigued by your reaction, Julien.
I don't personally. Have you seen Queen and Slim before?
Hard to say. No, I haven't, but it's okay. It's okay. It's fine.
Okay. So spoiler alert, came out about 2 years ago. For me, I put it this way, and I guess maybe because it has to happen because I'm black, but like having a Bonnie and Clyde-esque movie dealing with all the not racial tension, but all those conversations happening like that, and then for the movie to end the way they do, because I mean, kind of spoiled it. It's a black Bonnie and Clyde movie. I don't know if I would have wanted that as my first date movie. I'd have been like, whoa, wait a minute. Can we get somewhere lighter, please? Can we get something a little bit lighter before that? But that's why I was like, wow, interesting.
Yeah.
I took one of the girls I was dating at the time and watched it, and I was just like, oh, whoo, sorry. Sorry. We both were like, yeah, we need to go grab drinks. My bad. Let's decompress and go watch it.
We both really, really enjoyed it. Yeah, we loved it. And then afterwards, we went to Arlo's, which is a vegan burger place.
Yeah. Oh, I've had Arlo's before.
Yeah.
I know the Arlo's.
Yeah. He loves Arlo's. So,
I love that place. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, he was open to basically try, anything and everything with me. So that meant a lot to me.
I've got Jazz One did we did a Star Wars. I call it a Star Wars Mayathon that we did a few years ago with Jazz One and Johnny Lightfoot, and the three of us probably we did live for like 6 hours, half a day, and we cut it up into two long episodes of the podcast. But we did, and it was my first time trying to do a live, sort of doing a live thing. So it was really wonky. I told Paige the story yesterday. We had my laptop open to Facebook. We had my iPad on a stand or leaned against a book. I didn't have a stand. It was leaned against a book playing Instagram, and then a third one to YouTube on my phone. And one of them died before we finished the day. But we did get all the audio. And I called it the Star Wars Mayathon, and Johnny and Jazz One rode that journey with me, and we had a lot of fun. And all three of us have talked about it on our own, of how much fun it was that day. And afterwards I made tacos. So to top it all off, we had tacos afterwards. So it was a pretty good day. Jazz couldn't be here. I would have loved to have had Jazz come over and talk a little bit. He has had the opportunity to come on a previous show and talk about Johnny and kind of pay respects. Here's a few clips from that recent show that I did with Jazz One. This was shortly after Johnny's passing. This is our first show back. Wanted to do a show last week. Had cold, but also it was a tough week. We on June 10th, as you saw that photo we just put up, we lost a friend and a key contributor to the Thunderpop platform, Johnny Lightfoot. Johnny Lightfoot passed away on June 10th, 2021. He was 37 years old, 37 years young. He was a great son. He was a great fiance and boyfriend to his fiance. He was a great sibling. He was a great coworker to many. He was a great friend to many. Johnny was a swell guy, just the kind of guy you just enjoyed being around, talking movies. And Johnny could talk movies with the best of them. I mean, you could put Johnny up next to anybody on Nerdist or Collider or any of those places, and he was really, really an undiscovered talent. That his time, I believe, was still where he was to really shine was still yet to come. And he loved podcasting. He loved movies, and he, just like us, he loved talking movies. He loved talking all things nerdery. We did a show together, me and you, Jazz, with Johnny, not last year, not 2020 during COVID, the COVID year, but the year previous. We did a show together, me, you, and Johnny. May 4th day, a mayathon. We did a show for quite a while. We were here a good portion of the day, maybe 5-6 hours of just talking Star Wars, that we ended up splitting in 2 audio podcasts. We split them in half, and still had some extra to spare from that day of our sitting around talking Star Wars. I think we ate afterwards and hung out some more after that. It was a fun day. It was the last May 4th day that I think we were all kind of, before COVID, we were all kind of gathered around.
One of my favorite memories is like that show, because I think I showed up for the first time in my Vader helmet.
Yes.
And then Johnny had his Kylo Ren, and you had your Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Man, we are like 3 grown-ass men, like Star Wars dressed up, just celebrating, a nerd holiday.
There's a picture of the 3 of us to prove it actually happened. Wow. It's not hearsay. We sat there and with Kylo Ren, my Chewbacca mask, and him and his Jazz and his Darth Vader helmet, and that actually happened. Okay, I got one more with Jazz.
I have to ask really quickly.
Yeah.
What trilogy did you guys watch in this mayathon?
Oh, well, we just actually, from my recollection, we just talked Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
I was just podcasting for 5 or 6 hours of that day.
It wasn't a specific movie. It was just
Star Wars in general.
Yeah.
No, I can tell you, I can vouch right now, not being on that mayathon, but I can vouch for Johnny for weeks, and I mean weeks leading up to Rise of Skywalker. The amount of hours that I have put in talking to Johnny about Rise of Skywalker. Yes, that sounds about right.
Yeah. It's fun. I mean, those the Star Wars days became an event for us. We've had a lot of fun over the years, watching Star Wars, talking about Star Wars on that day. Okay, I've got one more. Here's Jazz again.
One thing I really liked about Johnny is like, man, he didn't really give me that gatekeeper vibe, you know. Like there's been people I've tried, you know, I hear him talking Star Wars, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm into this. And you get some people like gatekeeping like real hard, or they're like trying to, you know, flex their Star Wars knowledge on you or whatever. And man, Johnny would just, I don't know, like whether you had just seen it or knew the deepest details, like he would talk to you about it. You know, he would be into it, be excited to talk to you about it.
There he is, Jazz 1, talking about Johnny. That was our first show back this summer. Not that they'll watch this, but I do want to thank Austin FC for putting Johnny on the scoreboard and doing a remembrance for him back at the end of August. And the cool thing about this was the game that was the Portland game that they ran his in remembrance for him was also one of the like games that was like the first game they won.
Yeah, it was one of the first games they won.
Yeah. And to add just a little bit of context, Johnny was a season ticket holder for Austin FC and was a huge supporter of their starting out here in Austin. The first professional sports team in Austin is Austin FC, and Johnny had been a huge supporter of them. I'd call him a booster because he had been going to events. He went and took a tour of the stadium. He was buying gear, and he was rocking it on Facebook. He was really excited about the soccer games. And so it's cool that they put that scoreboard tribute up for him. And then it was also cool that it happened to be their first win.
I had even looked it up. I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to see the worst ranking team in the league. That's cool.
Yes.
That's cool. It's their first season. That's cool. You know,
it's a new team.
It's a new team.
We're going for Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
So Susan and I were talking about it, and she was like, you know, I think I just want to leave whenever they get done showing his name. I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And the first half was so exciting, and for the worst ranking team in the league to win. Mm-hmm. And this was also, you know, when they had that remembrance on the scoreboard, that was really magical. And I remember asking Susan, like, hey, you know, whenever you want to go, you know, I'm cool, whatever. Mm-hmm. We ended up staying for the whole game. So it
turned out to be a good game, right?
Yeah,
an entertaining game.
Yeah, we stayed for the whole game. And it was exciting. It's a really cool stadium. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard the stadium itself. The team is still a work in progress. The stadium itself, a masterpiece.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
simply beautiful.
Yeah, they really knocked it out of the park with the stadium. So, and eventually, the team's going to be good. Austin's got a lot of pride, so they'll turn that around and have a really good team. So Julien, having podcasted with Johnny as we talked at the start of the show, Matinee Talk, and by the way, go back and check out Matinee Talk because they've reviewed a lot of movies, and there's a lot of movies that you probably haven't seen that maybe you're thinking about seeing, and it was really entertaining to listen to you guys talk movies together and review a lot of the movies. I think the last one I listened to with you two together might have been the Bad Boys sequel.
Ah, okay. All right, Bad Boys for Life.
Yeah, I did listen to your Bad Boys for Life movie because I was really interested in that movie, and you know the kind of 90s throwback, a little nostalgia, Will Smith and Martin Short and getting back together. So I really enjoyed listening to y'all's talk on that. And me and Johnny didn't review the movie on Thunderpop, but we had talked about it when it was announced and it was in development. I remember us speculating about how they would approach that movie and what might be in that movie. So that was good to listen. Cool to listen to y'all review that. I'm sure you got a lot of great memories working on that podcast with Johnny.
I do. Really quick before we get into that, I want to explain how we first met, and then it kind of will understand how the podcast was destined to happen. as we mentioned, I've worked at Best Buy at the beginning of 2017, so around Super Bowl 2017, where basically they were building out the Magnolia Home Theater that's in the North Austin location, and he was basically building that up from the ground up, and I was customer support. I was part-time. I was just coming out of college, trying to figure my life out. And one day, it was like a Wednesday, it's something weird. I was tired of buying the Best Buy like Nas drinks and the Dasani water. So I said, you know what? Let me just bring my own water and just let me do it that way. And I put it in a little Batman tumbler, I call it. And I bought it when I was in LA 6 months prior because I did a tour with the Warner Brothers studio lot. And the first things I said was like, okay, I got to get something Batman related because of course it's Batman. And I brought it to work one day, put it on the little desk in front of the cashiers and everything like that. And I started working. And Johnny comes up to me and he's going, so that's a Batman tumbler. I said, that indeed it is, sir. He said, so you're into Batman? I said, oh, love Batman. And he said, before he goes with a client that he had, I just have to ask, favorite Robin. And I told him at the time it was Damian Wayne, Batman's son. But if we had to choose all time, it's between Tim Drake and Dick Grayson. He said, hold that thought. Went to go to take care of his work, take care of what his client comes. Then came back. It was a Wednesday. Nobody was really in Best Buy on Wednesdays. We sat and talked about Batman for a while. We talked about my favorite Batman movie, guilty pleasure for a while. Yes, I'm going to say this on your podcast. Batman Forever was my favorite until like The Dark Knight. So like when I told Johnny that, he said, how dare you? Right. He said, how dare you? I was like, well, that's what I grew up on. I'm 94. All right. Sorry, I didn't know Tim Burton's Batman and Batman Returns before then, but Val Kilmer was my Batman. All right. Excuse me. And we kind of went off and about that.
Actually, I like Val Kilmer's Batman. He was fine. The only thing I was upset about is he only stayed for one movie.
I agree, which is we could talk about how Warner Brothers fumbled the ball on that on a different podcast. But yeah,
he was a good Batman. Yeah,
really good. And so, we went from there, and literally from then on, we became really great friends, talked about Batman, talked about fandom in general, Star Wars. And then it got to a point where he'd take us to movies, and I'm sitting there because my minor in college was movies. And again, that was my passion. That's something I wanted to be a part of. And when I started, Johnny and I would sit there and talk, and I said, I would have liked this movie if it did X, Y, and Z. And he said, wow, really? So you would have done da-da-da? And I said, yes. And we both started talking, and he's like, wow, I didn't know you were into movies like that. I said, well, it was my minor. He said, really? And again, our friendship blossomed to the point where we're like, all right, you know what? We're getting in trouble too much at Best Buy. Let's make a podcast. And so
get it out of your system.
Exactly.
Out of your system, yeah.
Get the passion out of our system in a nice way without it affecting our jobs. And it was amazing. One of my favorite moments on the podcast, there's three. First was when we talked about The Nun, which is one of our that was the very first movie we reviewed, was The Nun. The Conjuring sequel movie we called the Jump Scare Fest of The Conjuring, but that's a whole nother conversation. That was when I realized that Johnny probably has a passion of how much he dislikes movies as much as I did. But my favorite one, and I wish people would go into the podcast. If you guys go to Matinee Talk, you can guys find these. On our Christmas episode in 2018, because I was doing this to to just listen to our podcast, and Johnny talks about Robin Hood. I don't know if any of you guys remember this movie, but it was the Taylor Egerton and the Jamie Foxx's Robin Hood, where Taylor Egerton is having these weird, like being able to shoot bows like this and stuff like that. Yeah. And literally listening to Johnny rant, and I mean rant, for 2 minutes about how terrible this movie was. Taylor Egerton, is Robin. He's taking money from thieves, and Jamie Foxx is his. I forgot Robin's name. I've known this movie for so long, and I don't remember the dude's name. But long story short, Johnny goes and watches it, and one of my favorite things he says is, you have better time in your life than to watch this movie. You could peel a potato. I'll never forget. He said you could peel a potato better than watching Robin Hood. And I just couldn't stop laughing because I was like, wow, I can't believe when he hates a movie or he dislikes a movie, he dislikes a movie. And it was really entertaining. And the most recent episode moment that I really enjoyed was, I feel like, and I said this on a Christmas podcast at that time in 2018, my favorite guilty pleasure Christmas movie is Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, that's what I'm saying. That's one of my favorite later moments of Johnny, because literally I didn't think anybody enjoyed that movie as much as I did. Granted, do we know the movie's bad? Yes. Do we think that Arnold was terrible in the movie? Yeah, kind of, sort of. But it's a fun movie all around. And the way that...
Yeah, it's supposed to be fun. I don't think it's meant to be good.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of movies out there. They're not meant to be good, but they're meant to be fun and entertaining.
And that's what we've got out of, and that's what we got out of Jingle All the Way, and just all the different quotes we talked about. Put the cookie down, no, like doing stuff like that, and making fun of Phil Hartman, who was Ted in the movie, like literally talking about just the moments we had with Jingle All the Way. Literally one of my favorite moments that we had with Johnny on the podcast.
They're doing Twins a sequel now. They've officially announced.
They officially announced it.
Triplets is going to happen. Not with Eddie Murphy though.
Which is I was disappointed about. I was like, wait, out of all the people, you keep Danny, you keep Arnold, but no Eddie? All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's the weird one for me. I mean, it was interesting. Tracy Morgan is going to be playing the Eddie part, because Eddie seems closer in age, so it made more sense for if they're triplets. It would be. I mean, but I don't know. But anyway, hopefully it's funny. I'm rooting for it.
I hope it is too. We will see in a year and a half, almost 2 years. Yeah,
somewhere like that. I'm rooting for those guys.
Yeah, I am too.
I'm looking this up right now. I didn't know triplets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's been kind of in developmental hell for a number of years, where Eddie Murphy was attached, and they just couldn't
kind of not. Yeah,
kind of not. He was. There were talks, and they did have conversations with him or meetings, but then all of a sudden, boom, it's happening. But not with Eddie. It's
not without Eddie. I wonder if it's about scheduling conflicts, because now Eddie, I feel like, is coming on a second renaissance now, which is kind of interesting. But yeah. He just inked a deal too. It was just announced, I think, yesterday, that he's got a multi-movie deal with Amazon Prime. Movies. Oh, because of Coming to America, the sequel. Okay, that makes more sense.
Most viewed movie, I think, ever in the history of their streaming platform. Probably the most viewed thing
on Amazon Prime. Probably
on Amazon Prime. Yeah, even though they do have some other shows that are hits, like The Boys. The Boys has got a very specific audience. You know, it's like, I mean, grandmas aren't going to watch The Boys.
The Boys, no.
But they probably would watch Eddie.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And speaking of that, one of my I'll put it this way, and I feel terrible about to say this. Yes, we were one of those people. Sorry, this reminded me of a movie thing. Sorry, we were those people. I will not do it again. Johnny and I both agree we'll never do this again. So for Endgame, we went to a midnight, almost 1 o'clock showing. Little did we know. Sorry, I'm saying this in advance. You probably remember, Presley. Alamo Drafthouse was rolling until about 8 o'clock in the morning. They stopped, and then they'll start again at noon for the entire weekend that Endgame came out. Yeah. Whatever reason, I didn't understand it, but we were like, oh, they're probably going to stop at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So all the people who are going to watch the movie, they're all going to be done. So after Endgame, Johnny, myself, and a couple of others who went, including Ben Bourgeois, who was one of our friends, we sat in front of Alamo Lakeline and talked for about 45 minutes to an hour, talking about spoilers, mind you. And we're like going hard, and I mean hard on spoilers. And we're going there, and Johnny and I are looking like, this is kind of weird. Why is there people walking into the theater, and why are we getting side-eyed? We don't get it. All right, whatever. And something told me, Julien, check the Alamo Drafthouse app. I go to the Alamo app. Guys, we need to get out now. We are ruining this movie. It felt like what The Simpsons did with Empire Strikes Back, where, Homer tells everybody, that Darth Vader is Luke's father. It felt like we were literally telling people, oh, dang, Tony dies at this movie and lives in long age. And we're talking about it, and people are still walking to the theaters, and it's 4 o'clock in the morning. We're like, I am so sorry. We were Homer.
To ask, are you the reason why Alamo Drafthouse plastered all of those signs saying "Do not discuss movie"? Because when I went to see Endgame, it was at the Alamo Drafthouse. I don't remember which location, but Those signs were all over the building.
We probably got cussed out. I feel like we got cussed out quite a lot when people were walking to the movies. I was like, how dare they say this in front of the movie? We're like, we didn't think you were going to be here at 5 o'clock in the morning. Sorry, we didn't know.
No, it could have been worse. Remember the guy that drove around and he got photographed driving around his car with Han Solo dies.
Yes, you're right. It's not as bad as that.
The back of his car.
Yes,
it was driving around and it went viral. Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yes,
that's quite a story. It's a good thing you didn't get assaulted.
I felt like it was gonna come, so that's why I was like, all right, these people are looking at me a little too hard. I need to figure out what's going on.
Were you like looking behind your shoulder walking to your car?
A little bit, yes. I was like, I had to tell Johnny and him, hey guys, we got to wrap this up. We'll talk about it tomorrow after work. All right, we can't do this right now. And they're like, yeah, we leave. And I'm sitting there looking like, okay, hopefully nobody tries to hit me while I'm on my way to my car. Good.
But buddy system to the car.
Buddy system, yes.
Tim League, if he had seen that, he would have taken Johnny's membership away.
Yeah.
He would have suspended his membership.
It's like, no, sir.
Alamo.
No, sir. You cannot do that.
Oh man, it's a great story. I had the first time I recorded a podcast with Johnny, 2015, and it was talking about Rise of Skywalker earlier. This was before Force Awakens. And I want to, on this first clip, I want to excuse the audio. There was a learning curve for me when it came to recording audio. Our first handful of podcasts were sounded like we were talking in tin cans, and we were doing the podcast inside of a porta potty. That was the audio quality level.
No, I get you.
You were talking literally.
No.
Well, and actually, we were doing it inside the porta. I don't know. Okay, here's one of the clips here. I think this is the right one here.
Coming up on Thunder Pop.
Today I have Johnny Lightfoot joining me. Johnny is a movie buff and Star Wars enthusiast. He attends Fantastic Fest every year, and he's got some stuff he wants to talk about today concerning The Force Awakens, and maybe so do I. We'll see. All right, we'll be back here right after that, the theme song.
Okay, so that was the introduction. Johnny first came on the show. And here's another.
Yeah, that is true. It's not that far off. And then somewhere else, just today, I heard it referenced as Princess Leia by someone with an English accent. Huh. So it may come up in the new one.
Right, because you've got General Hux. He's kind of the big Tarkin type guy.
It's not Princess Leia. It's not like Princess Leia anymore.
It's General. And Abrams came out and said that only once is she called princess by somebody. I wonder who that could be.
Oh, that'll be interesting. Yeah, it's kind of referencing her past, her history. So we are going to, and this was a segment Johnny brought in today. This is going to open up Thunder Pop today, segment-wise. Star Wars, it's everywhere. Force Awakens. The Force is definitely awoken, and it's awoken all over the place. Yes, it's in our shoes, it's in our bathroom, it's in our toilets. I mean, I pooped a Star Wars action figure. That's just about the sum of things right now.
Oh yeah, it's in your food. You can get some Star Wars SpaghettiOs.
Yeah. I mean, Star Wars condoms.
Star Wars condoms.
If you want to practice safe sex. And if there was a Star Wars condom, it'd probably, anyway.
It'd be a lightsaber.
Yeah, it would have to be a lightsaber. And they would have the Kylo Ren. Now, I don't know how the Darth Maul would work. That would be that would be kind of, that's some freaky deaky stuff there when you get the Darth Maul lightsaber version of the condom.
Oh boy.
How would that even work? I would love to know. How would that even work?
That conversation took an interesting turn there.
Yeah. That was my first podcast with Johnny.
Talking about Star Wars themed condoms.
You know, the first several episodes, I listened to too much Howard Stern. I was trying to do a shock jock.
No.
I was trying to do a shock jock bit, and I pulled Johnny down that wormhole. But Johnny was able to catch.
Came right with you.
He came right there with me, and I drug him down that wormhole. But he was fine, and he caught what I threw at him.
Let me ask this: 6 years later, do you think? Sorry, Paige, this is going to go a little bit over your head,
No,
but I have to ask: would that Darth Maul condom still would work 6 years later? Would anything like that work? Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question. Wow, that's a good question. You mean the joke or the bit?
The joke bit, yes. Like,
yeah,
like literally. Well, not the bit, but just like reality wise, would you think that a condom like that would work? Like Darth Maul condom? Like,
oh yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Logistically, no, I can't see that working. No.
I'm sitting there trying to think. I'm like, no.
It just doesn't work. Yeah, that was all ad libbed.
Great ad lib though.
It went down. Yeah, and so right away I was like, man, this guy's good. I'm gonna do more with you, man. This is great. I'm lucky I found you as a friend. We're gonna do more podcasts. I got one more.
6. That's almost 10.
Johnny Lightfoot for this 93rd episode of Thunderpop Podcast from the Thunderpop Dome. I've got the number one for you, and we can get back into some lighthearted conversation. Masters of the Universe, which now a Masters of the Universe film live action is starting to kind of gain some momentum. Mm-hmm. It's been kind of in developmental hell for years. Mm-hmm. So it's reportedly that now that they're eyeing Noah Centineo to play He-Man and Prince Adam. Now, the movie has been in development hell for many years, as I said. Now, although it seems like things are finally moving forward after several setbacks, now a previous report had Channing Tatum as the person of interest for the role. Do you agree or disagree that Channing Tatum would have actually been the perfect He-Man for the 21st century version of Masters of the Universe?
I agree. I think Channing Tatum would have been a really good He-Man.
Yeah.
I think he could have played Prince Adam and He-Man really well.
Yeah.
He has, I'm sure he could Chris Hemsworth and bulk up a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's already a fit guy. He could bulk up a little bit. But, yeah, I think he's got a name and face recognition, which I think if you do a He-Man today, you have to do. It won't work like it did in the 80s where you can just put at the time, Dolph Lundgren was a nobody.
Unknown, yeah, more unknown.
And, English not his first language. But you had Frank Langella as Skeletor. So you can't really do that now. Now you have to have a name.
There it is. We're talking about that has not ever happened live action reboot of the Masters of the Universe. We did finally get an animated revitalization.
Really good though.
Yes. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next half of that season or batch of episodes. Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, it was a couple of clips there, audio clips of Johnny that I pulled up today from past audio when we were doing the audio only podcast from the porta potty. Into the tin can and at the porta potty with the recorder. So yeah, it was a good time. What was your favorite recording that you did with Johnny that you like first thing that jumps out at you?
First thing that jumps out to me is probably the Halloween ranked list. Not Halloween ranked list when we went through the history of Halloween, the Halloween movies with Michael Myers. Let me paraphrase. Because I didn't know Johnny was into Michael Myers Halloween movies as much as I did. And when we went to go see 2018's Halloween together, I was like, yes, I have a friend in me. And we went so in depth with that episode. And that's when I realized that Johnny and I had something really together and something really good when we did that episode together. So yeah, I'd have to say one of my fondest moments in the podcast was definitely that Halloween movie podcast. I probably haven't seen those movies in about a year or two. And the way we can go into detail, and I mean specific details about the movie, is still beyond me. And I didn't think that I knew somebody who was in detail with those movies as much as I did and watched them every year like I did. But yeah.
Yeah, like you could have some really like serious, and he could teach like Halloween 101 at a college.
Yes.
Like I mean he knew all of those movies, he knew all of the little references and all of the actors, he knew all of those movies inside and out.
that was one of the premieres at the, and it would be wrong to let us go through this whole show and not mention his passion and love for Fantastic Fest. And it has, as he was a regular at Fantastic Fest for a number of years, right?
Yeah, almost 12 years, something like that. 12 or 14. Yeah.
He had been going on, and he did it even last year when they were doing a remote version online. I know he participated in some of the online events as well. But yeah, he was a regular at Fantastic Fest. I think it was one of his favorite things that he did.
Yeah.
Year in and year out. It was like another Christmas for him when Fantastic Fest would come around, and I would have him on the show, and he would break down the movies he saw, which were a lot of movies. But I think Halloween, the Halloween revitalization was one of the premieres, and we had some of the cast there. I remember he was really excited about that.
Yeah, it was the midnight premiere. Actually, yeah, it was the midnight premiere, Fantastic Fest 2018. Jamie Lee Curtis, John Carpenter, and David Gordon Green was there, and he geeked out for days about that. And I wish I was there when he talked about when he went, but he geeked out on the podcast about that. I'll never forget that either.
Yeah. Yeah, he really, I mean, he should have his name up on the scoreboard at the Fantastic Fest this year too.
Yes.
Yeah. I know that one of the movies he was most proud of watching at Fantastic Fest was Parasite.
Yes.
With the director, he was there. He went on and on about that movie, and I know that he had seen it several times in the theater. He wanted to. He brought his family to that movie, and that year for the Oscars, I had brought him to a vegan potluck Oscars party.
Oh, nice.
which he participated in the vegan potluck, and yeah, that was really exciting to see Parasite win all of those awards.
Yeah, and then it ends up being a blockbuster at the Oscars and wins all those awards, and he called it.
Yeah.
There are many things he predicted. You're talking about how he was. We mentioned somewhere along the way how he was so good at predicting things or forecasting. And here's three things he forecasted or predicted on the show. He predicted the death of Han Solo, which we mentioned earlier.
Of course he did. Okay.
On that I believe that same episode where I was playing the clips of us talking Force Awakens, he called it before anybody else I knew or had any place I had read. He was ahead of the game on that. He called that before any of the major movie websites, any of the major movie bloggers. Nobody had called that before Johnny Lightfoot did on their podcast. He also had called the Luke Skywalker demise in the Last Jedi, the second movie. He called the second movie. He called that.
Movie.
Yeah. And then he also, this is one that's wild. If you go back and listen to our Stranger Things season 3, before the season, we did a pre-show before the season premiered, and we watched trailers and we did reactions to the trailers. He predicted, and a little bit me too, together as a duo on that show. It is eerie to listen to it. And then when you realize it was recorded before that season dropped on Netflix, how we basically had called, and I tooted my horn on it. I'll toot my horn again. I'll toot our horn on it, me and Johnny's horn on it. But we literally predicted the entire season of a season 3 Stranger Things from who is going to, I mean, it is almost eerie. Like we had, if you had listened to that episode, you were like, no, you didn't record that before Stranger Things 3 happened. You saw it. You're lying, right? But look, if you look at the date when it was published, it was a precursor before season dropped on Netflix. And it was so eerie. Like Johnny later emailed me, said, can you believe it? After he binged it and I binged it. And I'm like, that's so weird. Like we didn't expect to get everything right.
Everything to the T, including Hopper dying or supposedly dying.
Yeah, he called. Yeah, he called. That was him. He got the Hopper thing. In fact, that might have been the only thing I disagreed with him on. Because I was like, oh, don't know, but I could see it happening. I kind of was on the fence with it. Yeah, he got the Hopper. He knocked the Hopper thing out of the park. Wow, it was so weird. And never had we done anything where we got everything. we would throw, especially on the second 2 Star Wars movies for the sequel trilogy, we really started to get kind of
against the wall. Yeah.
Because we started getting like, oh, we got Han Solo now. So Johnny got Han Solo now. So I started throwing all kinds of things. Now, I did get Luke at the Mandalorian. That was one I can give myself a pat on the back. I told everybody it was going to be Luke. People were hating on me online saying, no, it's not going to be Luke. You're stupid.
I thought it was going to be Ezra Miller. D-cut, but
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I could see. Well, there's people that had a lot of different theories, and I was like, it's going to be Luke, and I'll tell you why. And I had broke it down. But yeah, Johnny, Stranger Things 3, it is so unbelievable when you listen to that and realize it was recorded before the season dropped on Netflix. It's probably my proudest moment that we pulled that off, that episode.
Wow. Oh, that is amazing.
I'm going to have to go listen to this episode now.
Yeah, me too.
Not my proudest moment in life. My proudest moment is the podcast. As a podcaster, my son would be, probably be up there, rated pretty high.
Understandable.
Go a little bit up over the.
We understand what you're talking about.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, he was great at forecasting things and predicting things as well as reviewing things. He was also great at coming up with the forecasting of stuff. I plan to at some point do a Fantastic Fest, go to one, and I don't know if I probably there's no way I'll be able to do it the way Johnny did it, as
the whole 10
hardcore
days. Yeah, no,
the whole 10 days. But I could do one. I know I could do one day, Johnny Lightfoot style.
Well. But aren't they doing it a little different this year where they're breaking it up to different theaters? Because before it was all at South Lamar, but I guess to promote the social distancing.
Right.
Yeah.
They're doing that, and it's a hybrid this year where they're doing it also virtual. So you could have done it virtual the entire time. It's
that's good. That they have that option.
Yeah.
That's really good.
They're doing the hybrid option. So
like, could we do it, or could you do it the same way Johnny? I don't is that even an option? Just with how?
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry? I don't know. It maybe not. It may not be possible to do it exactly the way he did it, because if they're splitting it up over multiple locations, it may be a little different.
Probably when the pandemic settles, probably then. But as of this year, probably not. No.
Yeah, no, they'll probably want to go back to having it after the pandemic, back to all
Top Lamar. Yeah.
They like to have that party, the atmosphere.
Yeah, he loved. Yeah, he told me stories about that. He loved it.
Mm-hmm. So I would want to do it that way, where it was like, you're there so long, you start to stink.
Yeah, he told me that he would pack deodorant in his car.
Yes.
Deodorant and mouthwash. Yeah.
Yeah, you get. Yeah, it's in October, right?
No, it's actually happening right now. At the time of this,
it started
I'll
already?
say, sorry, I'm dating your podcast. I never liked dating podcasts, but
yeah, that's all right. All right.
Thursday, the 23rd, was the first day, and it lasts 7 days, not 10 days. It lasts until the 30th. So the last day will be on the 30th. So it's 7 full days.
Yeah. So I can't let us go away without the cat story and the naming of the cat. This is the lovely cat that's sitting behind Paige on the couch there. Just been chilling through the whole show.
Yeah. So what he's looking at is the door. He wants to go outside. And,
okay.
Yeah. He's waiting for me to open the door. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is Drake.
Yeah.
Who is named after, Johnny named him after Tim Drake, the third Robin.
Yeah.
Johnny's first cat not first cat, but the cat before Drake was Grayson, named after Dick Grayson. Mm-hmm. And Julien, you can fill in this question for me, but I remember asking Johnny, Johnny said that, Grayson was named after the first Robin. Drake is named after the third Robin. And I remember asking him, well, what about the second Robin? Like what's wrong with him? Why are you skipping the second Robin?
We don't discuss Jason Todd here. There's no Jason Todd here. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. We don't know who that is. We don't talk about him. Never heard of him. He's just distant memory now.
All right.
He's been deleted from their Batman.
I'll never.
From our fandom, right? From our
Fandom.
Batman fandom archive,
Yeah.
Jason Todd does not exist. Sorry, just doesn't.
It's a mystery. I will never know. But yeah, that's how much.
He's the rise of Skywalker of Robbins.
Oh, that is a great reference. I love that reference.
By the way, Johnny disappointed with Rise of Skywalker when he came on my show.
Very disappointed with it.
Yeah.
We both were, and that was a great way of putting it. It's a movie I could just pretend like didn't exist.
His exact words were, "It made him mad. He was upset about it."
Yes, one of my favorite quotes from Batman's Rise of Skywalker review was Star Wars: The Fan Service Part 9. I said, "You're absolutely right. You're right. This is a fan made movie. It's out of my memory banks."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was I told Paige this yesterday. I said, I'm so glad that he got the Mandalorian, that arc, in finishing out the season 2, that was his last kind of Star Wars experience as a viewer, Star Wars fandom, and that it was really a positive way to end with that Star Wars rather than the Rise of Skywalker. That makes me happy.
Yeah, me too. It was very special watching both of those seasons and experiencing. I mean, as I've said multiple times, I don't know anything about Star Wars, but I could feel the intensity and the emotion in that final season 2 episode. It was, I mean, it brought me to tears. It was beautiful, and yeah, I'm glad that Johnny was able to experience that.
Yeah, it's good Star Wars. We got Grogu there on the corner of my screen, so you know I'm a Mandalorian fan. I'll ride with Mandalorian any day.
Oh, I Wonder Broadcast. This is our friendly neighborhood Blake Klein. This guy takes care of business. This is our local Jedi when I'm at work. So this guy's policing all the crazy people zooming around in the parking lot, just trying to wreak havoc. So how's it been tonight?
Actually, it's been fun.
Quiet. Yeah. So that's a good thing.
It is.
Because I know a lot of people were worried because the draft house was one of the few places letting people wear helmets and masks and bringing weapons. So I know online at least a lot of people were like, are you sure you're going to have security there? They were kind of scared.
That's why I got tased for the fun.
There we go.
Yeah, thanks for doing this.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for coming and doing this with me. This means a lot to me, and I'm glad y'all were wanting to do it. And I told Paige yesterday that I wanted to wait to do it because I know everybody needed some time, but I didn't want to wait too long to do it. So I tried to find a landing spot that I thought had given, because I feel like you wait too long, then maybe something happens, you don't get to do it. So. Right. So anyway, I'm glad we got to do it. Agree or disagree? Both of you would like to join me on this agree or disagree is a segment that I know me and Johnny always had a lot of fun with. And so I got a couple of agree or disagree questions that we can, that I can ask you.
Absolutely.
I'll play that music. Okay, here it is. Number 1 in this 152nd episode, which is also the season finale, season 6 finale. Here it goes. Agree or disagree? Number 1 is a DC question. We know Johnny is a huge DC fan. He was DC over Marvel, for sure. DC is taking on a lot lately as far as announcements for projects that are coming up for DC. Surprisingly a lot, but I guess I shouldn't be too surprised because they're trying to keep HBO Max full of content, and that's their biggest IP at Warner Brothers. So a lot of series have been announced. In fact, I think there's a new series that just was announced today. A lot of series. There's the Green Lantern project. There's a Batwoman project, a new Batwoman project outside of the CW one that already existed. They're doing a Penguin series. Good God. So my question for the two of you is, do you agree or disagree, though, that DC may be taking on, DC Warner Brothers may be taking on more than they can chew?
Completely agree. Completely agree. Do you want me to expand on it or just say?
Oh, I would love it if you would. Yeah.
So, and sorry, I'm a reference like I told Johnny. Unfortunately, Warner Brothers is doing exactly what they shouldn't be doing, which is trying to catch up with Marvel. Stop. I'm telling you now, Warner Brothers. I'm sorry. If you're listening to Thunderpop now, please stop. There's no point in throwing so many things to the wall and saying, let's hope one of these stick. I don't need to see another Peacemaker show. I don't need to see Batman Year One. There's two different Batman. Way too many projects. Let it go. Let it go, Warner Brothers.
I mean, they're given basically at this point, I think every DC character is getting a show.
Yes. Stop it, please. Stop it.
Or a limited series. Is the polka dot guy has his show been announced yet?
Not yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does.
Okay, so I don't want to say agree and disagree, but I think it's exciting that all of these shows are coming out. Like, I want to watch them. But my impression, I'm not the expert like you two, so correct me if I'm wrong. My impression is that all of these networks, they're just pumping out all of these shows. And it's impossible for viewers to watch all of them. So you could have this great quality show, but it's just not getting the views because there's too much out there. So even though it's a great show, it's not getting the views. So then they're gonna stop making the show.
Yeah.
So I want to say that yes, like all of these shows that DC wants to put out, yes, they should do them, but like pace it out. Like don't throw it all at us at one time.
Yeah, which they won't. They won't listen to that.
They won't listen to that.
No, that's not the way they work. I will say I do really enjoy Doom Patrol. It's one of my favorite shows.
Another one that, speaking of what Paige just said, that I enjoy that they canceled because it was on whatever DC. I keep forgetting the DC app that they called it before it's HBO Max. Swamp Thing. Come on, man. Y'all could have done Swamp Thing so good.
Yeah.
I digress.
That's also a problem because Netflix has canceled some really good series too.
Yes.
And they throw a lot of things up, and then they only pick the ones that are the top viewed or the top watched or downloaded. Then some of the things that were really good that get you hooked on, they end up slipping through the cracks and not getting renewed,
picked up or anything like that.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's a shame that happens.
I think it's a waste because if you're Netflix, you have a show and you cancel it on a cliffhanger, you immediately make that content a waste of your a waste in your library. Because if someone says, "Oh, you should watch this show,"
you should watch this. Exactly.
But then you're like, "Well, did it get renewed? Is it?" And it's like, "No." Did it end on a cliffhanger? And I'm like, "Oh, well, what's the point of watching that show? And what's the point of spending the money for 2 seasons of a show and then just dropping it? And then you got it on your app, but it's just taking up space. You at least give it a wrap up. Come
Please
back do a short abbreviated season, just because by doing that you make the show in your library worth so much more." Anyway,
beautiful rant. That's exactly how I feel about all these shows like Marco Polo and The Get Down. I'm like, take it down if you're not gonna finish it, please. But I agree. I completely agree with you.
It's a waste. Okay, number 2. Speaking of streaming. And we referenced this issue earlier because of the movie editors potentially going on, TV movie editors going on strike because of issues with streaming, and they're not being properly compensated by the streaming platforms for all the hard work they're doing. I heard even because I actually know a guy that works in television as an editor, and he posts pictures of the meals that they get while they work that are comparable and actually less quality than a meal that you would get if you were in prison. And he's constantly making fun of this. He posts pictures of it all the time on his Facebook. He said, "Today we had this Salisbury steak that looks like it was a $2 TV dinner, frozen section. And this was the meal that they gave us while we were working in the little room editing." But anyway, streaming now, because of the strike that they'll eventually have to settle, and they'll have to give them raises, and then the increase in competition, which is making these other, all these streaming platforms, and as we mentioned, are trying to up the others. So they're trying to increase content, increase the level of excitement. So they're trying to put more money into the content, getting the bigger star or the bigger IP, and creating content for the bigger IP. So what my question is, and this is being talked about now at Disney, and it's actually been mentioned for Disney Plus as not out of the realm of possibilities that they might consider ad-based streaming on Disney Plus. Do you agree or disagree that this might end up being the future of streaming, is that there probably will be more ad-based streaming apps? Like, we could see more ads on things like, you already have Paramount Plus has an option for an ad or advertise, ads. Is there going to be
Hulu?
What's that?
Yeah, like Hulu,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Hulu always has done. Yeah, Hulu's done it for a while. Is this going to is this going to become all of them now eventually?
I think so. And I feel like even to give you a hot take, as much as they're not going to do it, because of their current pay model, Netflix is going to do it, and they're probably going to be the last ones to do it, because there's no way. There's no way. I feel like there's going to be a cap in subscribers at some point, and Netflix is starting to see that. So there's only two options: make it go up or ads. And Netflix has been trying to stay away from ads since they began, but I feel like soon they're going to have to keep themselves afloat. We'll see.
It feels and sounds so depressing, but at the same time, I get it. Like, I get it. Like, from that business perspective, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably will. I mean, I don't know when, but yeah, they're all going to do it eventually.
Yeah. Good God. Ads and streaming. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're back at TV.
Yeah, we're basically back to TV now.
Yeah.
Maybe the shows are a little bit better.
Just a little bit, but
they're a little bit better. I mean, it's not CSI in 5 different cities.
But not CSI New Orleans or Las Vegas, but
yeah, it's not, it's not that, but, and it's not the, was it Fire PD or
NYPD or Fire PD, Fire Department, 911, all the different shows Fox got.
The Chicago Fire.
Yes, you're right.
Chicago Med, Chicago. I don't know what else.
Chicago PD and something else. It was the fourth one. I don't know, but Chicago everything. They've
done it. Yeah, they've done Chicago of everything now, and they cover all the bases. So to close it out, thoughts and advice. I'm kind of freestyling this because I really didn't prep this segment. But I will say we talked about all the DC content. But one thing we did mention is Star Wars and how they've been seemingly to right the ship here lately with Star Wars, with because of all the problems with the sequel trilogy. The changing of directors is well noted and things like that. But Mandalorian has definitely put them on life support at Star Wars Disney with the work of Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, which I'm very happy about. Now, I'm sorry to say I'm embarrassed. I have not watched Visions yet. I just have not had time.
I haven't either, and I want to. I've heard really good things.
Yeah, but the buzz on it is that it's a tremendous show. It's leaning maybe more anime than Star Wars, but it's definitely Star Wars anime. It's not canon, which I like. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it being its own thing. It's got the Star Wars aesthetic. That's fine. It could be its own thing. But it sounds exciting. I think it is going to bring a little bit of a new audience in that maybe wasn't there before. Star Wars, The Bad Batch, I did not enjoy as much as Mandalorian, but I thought it was quality. It was a little long drawn out. Probably should have been shorter and tighter. But it was still enjoyable. But overall, some of the announcements, things are coming up. The Book of Boba Fett, Robert Rodriguez says it's going to over deliver. Kenobi, Ewan McGregor saying the same thing for the Kenobi series. These are exciting projects. People have wanted a Boba Fett standalone for a long time, Star Wars fans. So that's fan service in the right way. It seems like the teaser, the end credits of Mandalorian was jaw dropping, blew my mind. So I'm excited for the Book of Boba Fett. We will get more Mandalorian as long as the editors don't go on strike before they finish the season.
We hope.
And then Kenobi wrapped up. So Kenobi's happening. It's coming. And I'm excited for this because it's going to give that was such a great character. Ewan McGregor's Kenobi is a great,
beautiful character.
Beautiful character.
Prequel trilogy.
Yes, beautiful job. Is one of the highlights of the prequels, and to see him now getting maybe a chance to do it in a better setting, with
Yes,
better editing, better writing, better directing, is like, thank you, Star Wars. You're giving us what we want, and okay, they right the ship for at least now, and I'm very happy about that. And that's all I have is my thought. It wasn't any advice. I don't have any advice for him. Just keep up the good work.
Please. Only thing I ask is just keep Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau in your pocket, please, because it seems like they know what they're doing.
Yes.
And at some point, please, Disney, this is my only advice I'm giving you guys. Please have one of them take over from Kathleen Kennedy as soon as she steps down. That's all I ask. Please have one of them take over. Please.
Or both. They could try it as a team. They seem to work well together.
Really well together. Please. Yeah. One of the two, please. Or both.
You know, one of the things they've done that's been lately is that a lot of the people that are working on Star Wars, like Rob Rodriguez and some of these other directors that came in last season, are real hardcore Star Wars fans. Since they grew up with it, you can tell they're passionate about it. Jon Favreau, obviously Dave Filoni, loves Star Wars, and it's Star Wars fans that know what they're doing, and they're making Star Wars, and they care about it, and so that's a good thing. Yeah. I can't thank you two enough for coming here with me today, and a retrospective for Johnny was really important for me, and I'm glad we got to do this. And Johnny will never be forgotten for me, and I'm gonna find a way to always, in spirit, have him be a part of what I'm doing as a creator. And anytime you two, I would love to have you all come on again. Anytime you all want to come on and talk about movies, you got an open invite to come on if you're willing to put up with me.
Thank you for that. And I was going to tell you the same thing. If you ever want to come on the King Julien podcast at all, you're more than welcome.
Thank you.
You're really great, Presley. I've heard some of your episodes on Thunder Pop. I've always wanted to tell you that. Didn't want to be that creepy guy that goes on Messenger and says, "Hey, you never heard of me before, but I'm a friend of Johnny's. I love your show." Like, I didn't want to do that, but yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I've enjoyed listening to you guys. We're so good together. And same thing as I was talking about with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. You guys love movies. You're passionate about it. So hearing you talk about it is, it's fun. It's fun to watch and listen. And Paige, you were great. It was a lot of fun talking to you, and I appreciate you coming on. And by the way, you've not ever podcasted before, but you did damn good. And I think you are a podcaster yourself.
Well, thank you.
If you want to be, I mean, maybe you got a life. Do you need this? I don't know.
No, I do want to add something else about podcasting.
Yeah.
About Johnny with you guys. Just like with everybody else, like Johnny would have his good days and his bad days.
Yeah.
And whenever he did a podcast, like let's say, for example, it was one of his, just kind of down or whatever. And whenever he finished a podcast with anybody, he would just brought him new energy. He would be so happy and so excited, like that. It really helped his mental health, podcasting with you guys. And he would always call me afterwards and just be so excited and just telling me everything that you guys talked about. And it was really cute. And it's a shame, that last podcast, was it Matinee Talk or
it was Matinee Talk. It was, what was that? Not Rob Zombie. What was that Zack Snyder movie? Army of the Dead. It was Army of the Dead. Oh, that movie. That's a whole nother conversation for a different day. But
yeah. You guys did a podcast on it, but it didn't save or record or something like that.
That would have been, I was about to say, personally, if that ever was to be recorded and published, that would have been the episode where I would love you to hear it and have thoughts. Because I don't know if you've seen Army of the Dead yet.
Yeah, I watched it with him. I did.
Yeah, and it was.
I know I discussed it with him.
That movie. We had thoughts. That's the best way I can explain it. It's in the pause that be, but thoughts were said about that movie. One day I might explain those thoughts, but yeah, thoughts were said about that movie.
Whenever you're ready to share those thoughts, I can hear them.
Will do.
You know, a weird thing, don't give up. Maybe because I'll tell you the weird story is my 34th episode. I remember this episode number. I lost the file. I lost the file. It was a weird story, and it was very depressing because it was a really good episode. It was with Christian Gossett, who directed Star Trek Axanar, which is known to be the most well-known Star Trek fan film of all time. And he did an interview with me. We did a podcast. I interviewed him, and I lost it. It was such a good episode, and I hired someone to try to go on find it on my hard drive to see if I could. Maybe I just couldn't locate it.
Yeah,
like a recovery, and the guy couldn't find it. And you know, a couple $100 later, he's like, yeah, he fixed some bugs on my computer, so it was still good. But I found it about a month after Johnny passed. It randomly turned up on my one day when I was on my laptop going through some folders.
Wow.
This was after I had hired a recovery person to find it. So I published it and or I republished it, and it's because it was published, but then I accidentally deleted it and I didn't have a backup on it. So I know how that feels. And Johnny brought some moral support to me when it happened. And I remember he talked to me on the phone about it and said, look, you know, hey, it's one thing, and just move ahead, and we'll keep going. But yeah, so he kept me from crying that day, because I was pretty sad. I know how you feel about losing. I know how that feels to lose media.
Yes.
Podcasting was a huge part of his life, a huge part of it. So
yeah,
thank you for having me on, like, so I can kind of get a taste of what he was so passionate about. So it was really cool. So yeah, thank you for having me on. And like I said, like, if you cut out all of my audio, I will not be offended. So don't worry. However much you're a little like Presley, this is your thing. So I will not be offended.
I'm considering just cutting myself. I'd just be two of you talking. I'll be surprised
that'll be a beautiful way to see how you edit. It'd be like, oh, it's just Paige and I talking to ourselves. Cool. That sounds pretty interesting.
There'll be a Thunderpop logo like in my place. Really cool animated logo.
Well, I mean, because Julien, we have talked about movies before in the past.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I like talking to you, Julien. Like, I really miss that a lot. You know, like when you would come over on Sundays.
Or Johnny.
Yes.
Little Batman there. This is supposed to be, this was gifted to me by my friend Kirk-O-Matic, who's been on the show before. And this is like an original like candy container. And it's supposed to be from '89 Batman. So this is supposed to be the Keaton. You can't see it.
You can't see it, but I see it from the cowl. That's how sad you know. That's how you know I'm a Batman fan. I was like, that must be a Michael Keaton Batman head. Okay.
So I've cherished this to get definitely Keaton. When you look at the face, you could see it better. You look it up close. So anyway, for Johnny.
Yeah, when we were cleaning his apartment, I snagged. I thought this was so cute. I think that there were other ones.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that there was maybe like a Wonder Woman, a Robin, or something. I don't know, like other DC characters, but I made sure to grab this one. I just thought it was really cute.
I do have one more clip. I want to run this before we close out. It was the live stream that I did in March with Johnny. You know, it would have been one of the most cosplayed comedy movies, I think. People would have cosplayed for this movie. Saw some great ones online this week. Here's a few. Some cosplays from Coming to America. McDowell's. There's some of the McDowell's there. So yeah, it would have been. I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah. That one's a little suspect.
That was a little suspect there. I don't know if that was a good choice, but yeah, there was some good cosplays I saw online this week. I think it would have been I think there's only 2 comedy movies that get cosplay their opening weekend. Because usually it's a movie, it's a saga movie. So there it is. We were Coming to America in March. and we played some Johnny, of course, a cosplay cosplayed in his life and knew a lot about it. And we talked about Coming to America, and we reviewed Coming to America in March, and there it was. So
nice.
Johnny Lightfoot. Everyone out there, have a great day, hour, second, millisecond. The boy wonder, Johnny Lightfoot. We love you, man.
Thunder Pop is a Hit the Bricks production.